When Kim Wall was between freelance assignments, she decided to interview 46-year-old inventor and entrepreneur Peter Madsen about the amateur spacecraft he was building in Copenhagen, Denmark. On August 10, 2017, Wall boarded Madsen's submarine, the UC-3 Nautilus. To do a quick profile, she planned on pitching to Wired on the Danish inventor. What was supposed to be a quirky profile quickly turned into a high-profile murder case. Wall's boyfriend reported her missing a day after the interview. After her dismembered body was washed ashore on Amager, Denmark. A few weeks later, the investigation of the murder of Kim Wall was in full force, and Madsen was the prime suspect. Journalists who report from the front line of war have died in crossfires, just as criminal investigative journalists have died as a means to keep a story quiet. In other extreme cases, perpetrators have held journalists hostage to keep information from leaking to the public. This was not the case with Wall. Prosecutors speculated a fixation with snuff films fueled Manson's motive for murder. Although Manson eventually admitted to dismembering Wall, he claimed he was innocent of her murder, despite the mounting evidence against him. In April 2018, prosecutors found Madsen guilty of premeditated murder and sexual assault. Copenhagen court sentenced him to life in prison, and he lost his appeal against the term in September 2018. Wall's torso was stabbed at least 14 times on August 21, 2017. A cyclist discovered human torso washed up on the shore of Kladesholm, an area south of Copenhagen. Investigators determined the remains, which an unknown assailant had reportedly stabbed, belonged to missing Swedish journalist Kim Wall. The autopsy led medical examiners to conclude the assailant had stabbed her either at the time of death or shortly afterwards. Investigators proposed the suspect, Peter Madsen, strategically caused wounds near the ribs to keep the body from floating to the surface of the water. Examiners reported multiple stab wounds to Wall's genitalia, suggesting the murder had sexual assault elements. The report confirmed someone had stabbed Wall over 14 times. Wall's head and legs were found by divers a few weeks later. On October 7, 2017, divers found Wall's head and legs in Koge Bay, a little more than half a mile from where investigators recovered her torso. The assailant deliberately tried to conceal her body as police discovered the remains in plastic bags. Along with her head and legs, someone had filled the bags with scrap metal to weigh down the evidence. Authorities identified the victim from dental records. According to Jens Muller Jensen, Copenhagen's police lead investigator, we found a bag with Kim Wall's clothing, shirt, skirt, socks, and shoes, and also a knife and lead pieces weighing them down. Around noon, we found a leg, then another leg, and shortly thereafter, we found a head, also in a bag weighted down by several metal pieces. Madsen deliberately sank his submarine and claimed Wall had Madsen's submarine. The UC-3 Nautilus did not come back to harbor as planned on August 10, 2017. Investigators searched for the vessel after Wall's boyfriend reported her missing. A rescue helicopter finally spotted the submarine in the bay southeast of Amanger, near the Drogen Lighthouse on August 15th, around 10:30 p.m. Reportedly, the submarine sank after 30 seconds. Madsen swam to a nearby boat of fishermen who took him to the Dragor port. At the port, reporters immediately met Madsen, who maintained the sub sank during a faulty ballast tank. As to Wall's whereabouts, Madsen claimed he had dropped her off the night before at a restaurant near northern Refaisalon. Police later determined Madsen had tanked his submarine on purpose when they lifted the vessel out of the bay for investigation. Madsen then changed his story, saying Wall died due to a heavy hatch door. A month after Wall's disappearance, Madsen returned to Copenhagen to appear in court and give his account of what happened. Investigators had found traces of Wall's blood inside the recovered submarine, as well as Wall's personal items. Madsen then told the court Wall died aboard his submarine, UC-3 Nautilus. According to Madsen, he lost his grip on a heavy hatch door, which then fell and shut on Wall's head. He offered the court details of the incident. It was a terrible accident, a disaster. No doctor could have done anything. Kim was severely injured. There was a pool of blood where she landed. I touched her neck, but she had no pulse. When police divers discovered Wall's head on October 6th, 2017, medical examiners reported no signs of trauma, discrediting Madsen's claim. He changed his story again, this time saying Wall died of carbon monoxide poisoning. On October 30th, 2017, Madsen changed the story of how Wall died again. Madsen feigned innocence, saying he did not know exactly how Wall died, but he speculated it could have been due to carbon monoxide poisoning. Madsen told police he was on the deck at one point while Wall was inside the submarine. During this time, according to Madsen, Wall died, and he had no idea how. During the April 2018 trial, expert testimony strongly disputed such claims. A lieutenant commander in the Danish Navy said officials did not detect CO2 in the submarine and that mild CO2 levels would not pose a serious risk in military submarines. Madsen then said he chopped up Wall's body for a sea burial. When Walls went missing on August 10th, Madsen claimed he had let her off the submarine, which accidentally sank the following day. When her dismembered torso washed ashore on August 21st, his story quickly changed. He told authorities Wall died from an accidental head injury after medical examiners refuted his claim in October. He recounted his statement. He maintained he was unsure of her cause of death and attributed it to a carbon monoxide leak. Madsen then admitting to dismembering Wall's body, saying it was part of a burial at sea. He claimed he panicked when Wall died and believed the right thing to do was to send her remains out to sea. He also maintained he dismembered Wall to fit her body through the submarine door. Madsen had videos of women being murdered on his work computer. When police took Manson into custody on August 12th, examiners linked DNA found on Manson's person to Kim Wall. Authorities had probable cause to search Manson's research laboratory. They found a computer containing video footage, which police presume to be real, of an unknown assailant murdering women. In the videos, the assailant strangled, then decapitated the victims. Manson still proclaimed his innocence after the discovery. In court on October 3rd, 2017, he maintained the computer was used by everyone in the laboratory and not his personal property. Combined with the stab wounds inflicted on Wall's genitalia, investigators began to suspect a relation between Wall's murder and a torture fetish. Manson was charged with premeditated murder. When authorities searched Manson's recovered submarine, they discovered, along with Wall's blood, an array of suspicious tools: a sharpened 20-inch screwdriver, a saw, a hose, and straps. Prosecutors questioned whether Manson planned Wall's murder. Manson argued on the stand he needed the hose for cleaning purposes, the screwdriver to use a marker for diving, and the saw to build wooden shelves. He said he didn't have plywood for the shelves because he planned to bring it in with him the next time he boarded the submarine. Key witnesses maintain the screwdriver wouldn't need to be sharpened to act as a diving marker, and submarines don't require Manson's proposed woodwork. On January 16th, Copenhagen law enforcement charged Manson with premeditated murder in addition to the indecent handling of a corpse and sexual assault. Manson pled not guilty, despite all the incriminating evidence. Manson faced charges of voluntary manslaughter, indecent handling of a corpse, and sexual assault. He entered a not guilty plea. Despite the pornographic murder video investigators found on Manson's work computer, DNA evidence, and his confession about dismembering and dumping Wall's body, Denmark prosecutors sought a life sentence for Manson and pushed to have Manson's submarine confiscated with the intent of destruction. While Manson's attorney said Manson was willing to admit to the charges regarding the disposal of Wall's body, he denied the murder and sexual assault allegations. He joked with former lover about murdering someone on his submarine, an alleged recent sexual partner of Manson's, who had been in contact with Manson regularly prior to Wall's death. Totally wired Manson texted her about his murder plan. The woman, who chose to remain anonymous, was working on a video project and playfully asked Manson to motivate her via text so that she would finish it. She says she has a murder plan ready in the submarine, and I tell him I am not afraid. You have to be more threatening. He talks about the tools he wants to use, and I say, oh, it's not threatening. The woman believed Manson was joking, even when he introduced the scenario of inviting another person to join in and cut up the hypothetical victim. Another of Manson's alleged former lovers testified he had also sent her provocative texts prior to Wall's murder. A rose was named after Kim Wall to salute her spirit. The Camwall rose will be registered and soon sold worldwide.